Hello and welcome to section 3 of chapter 2, linear equations. Today we'll be continuing our exploration of equations with word problems. This video is hosted by Iridium Tutoring. Exercise 1. So a main key value for word problems is that you have to identify certain key words that the word problem has in order to solve it. So this can actually be extended by using variables, which we learned in the last section. Please go watch that if you haven't or don't know what variable means. So we can actually use those variables to represent certain things inside in a word problems, or use variables to represent certain things in real life to solve these kinds of equations or word problems. So let's just read through this and highlight key things. Charles has two more than 3 times the amount of oranges Jonathan has. Charles has 11 oranges. How many oranges does Jonathan have? So first we want to highlight Charles has two more than 3 times, and then amount of oranges Jonathan has. So I just want to separate those two using different types of lines. And then Charles has a total of 11 oranges. And then always circle what you are finding. How many oranges does Jonathan have? Because that is the key thing that you are solving. So let's see how we can use variables in this context. If you read through the problem, you can see that you can actually represent amount of oranges that Jonathan has as a variable. So you can actually represent x as number of oranges Jonathan has. And it is important in word problems to always identify what your variable is representing. So let's move on to forming the actual equation. So we know that x is the amount of oranges Jonathan has. And if you look back at the problem, you know that Charles has two more than 3 times the amount of oranges Jonathan has. So 3 times the amount of oranges Jonathan has, which is represented by x. So you do 3x, 3 times x. What this signifies is just 3 times x. So 3x and then 2 more. So 3x plus 2 more equals, if you look at the second sentence, Charles has a total of 11 oranges. So 3x plus 2 equals 11 total oranges. Now you would just solve this by subtracting 2 from both sides first to get 3x equals 9. Then you would divide both sides by 3 to get x equals 3. And your final answer should always have words in it. It's a little hard to annotate and write with a mouse, but you could say Jonathan has 3 oranges. So you have to say that entire sentence and circle it as your final answer. Let's go to exercise 2. First, let's read it. Kevin biked twice as far as Stephen. Altogether, they biked 120 miles. Find the number of miles Stephen biked. Now, this question is a little bit trickier, and it requires that you look through it and accept keywords very carefully. So let's just, you can pause the video and take a minute to see what you can do. All right, so if you think that the equation was 2x plus 120, you are wrong. Let me walk you through it. So Kevin biked twice as far as Stephen. Let's represent x as the number of miles Stephen biked. So from there, we know that x is the number of miles Stephen biked. Now let's see the number of miles Kevin biked. So twice as far as Steven. And we know Kevin biked X amount. So twice X is the number of miles Kevin biked. Now you want to go back and look for that key word that determines what you do. All together is the key word here. All together meaning you have to take this entire thing and add it together to form the equation. So you would do 3x equals 120. So then you would divide both sides by 3 and x equals 40. And your final answer would be Stephen biked 40 miles. Exercise 3. At the Iridium Tutoring Lounge, it costs $34 to enter the lounge and $8 for every hour you stay there. If the total cost was $82, how many hours did you stay there? First, let's figure out what our variable has to be. Can you figure out what the variable has to represent? Pause the video and take a minute. All right, so if you said that the variable x should represent every hour you stay at the lounge, if you said x represents that, then you are correct. So we know that it costs $34 as a base. So every time you enter, you have to pay $34. So in our equation, first, let's write plus 34 because we know that that's all the time. Every time you enter the lounge, you will have to pay $34. Now we know that the total cost is $82 that you spent there for one specific night. So on the right side, you want something plus 34 equals 82. Now, can you figure out what should be that something I just mentioned? Pause the video and try to figure it out. If you said 8x plus 34 equals 82, you are correct. Because $8 for every hour you stay there. Remember, x represents every hour you stay there. So you can just do 8 times x plus 34 equals 82. Now, to solve this, you would just subtract both sides by 34 to get 8x equals 48. And then you would divide both sides by 8 to get x equals 6. And your final answer would be you stayed at the lounge for 6 hours. Last but not least, exercise 4. This is a little bit trickier, so I will run through this. The sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 303. Find the largest of the 3 numbers. And a quick hint is that consecutive are integers that follow each other, meaning 3, 4, 5, or 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, just numbers that follow each other. And now I want you to recognize a certain pattern between these. Let's say that you represent 3 as x. Find the pattern between them. All right, so the pattern is that if 3 was x, 4 is x plus 1. Then 5 is x plus 2. And that's how consecutive numbers go. X, x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, x plus 4. And now this problem, again, if you go back, says 3 consecutive numbers. So we know that it's going to be the first consecutive number, which is x, the second consecutive number, which is x plus 1, and the third consecutive number, which is x plus 2, because we know that there has to be 3 consecutive numbers, as the problem states. Now, we know that the sum of these 3 is 303, and if you know what sum means, what the word sum means, it means the addition of all three of these numbers. So what you would do is you would just add x plus 1 plus x plus 2 equals 303. And after you solve this, you have to go back and really see what the what the question is really asking. So you have to find the largest of the three numbers. So after you find x, you have to you have to plug in x for these values over here and see which one is the largest. So if you could take a guess, which one of these three do you think will be the largest? If you said x plus 2 is the largest, then you are correct. All right, let's just solve this for x. X plus 1 plus, that is supposed to be a plus sign, x plus 1 plus x plus 2 equals 303. Now you want to combine like terms, so x plus x would be 3x, and then 1 plus 2 would be 3. 3x plus 3 equals 303. Now subtract both sides by 3 to get 3x equals 300. Now divide both sides by 3 to get x equals 100. Now you know what x is. Let me just erase this so that we have space. So we just figured out that x equals 100. Now you want to go back to the question and see what the question is trying to find. Find the largest of the three numbers. So now we have to go back to these and actually find what values they represent. So the first number of the three consecutive numbers is 100, because x is 100. Then 100 plus 1, so the second number would be 101. And the third number would be 100 plus 2, which is 102. So the three consecutive numbers are 100 is the first one, 101 is the second one, and then 102 is the third one. So we have to find the largest of the three, and 102 is the largest. So your final answer would be 102 is the largest of the three numbers. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for section 4. And please watch it. Goodbye.